Make sure my phone.
Welcome to Women in Paint. Whether your paint story is dripless or an old school mix of project management, business ownership, or modern estimation, the stories of women in paint are now part of the industry's rising success. We'll educate, encourage, and promote diversity and gender equality by giving you a behind-the-scenes look at our proven skills, business acumen, and driving force that propels anyone to find meaningful opportunities and a career path that challenges lives through paint. Now let's welcome your host, Michael Cheney.
Welcome to the show. I am Michael Cheney, the owner of No Drip Painting, where we are changing lives through paint. And I'm just going to say it, my friend, because I feel like we're about to be fast friends. I'm going to be seeing you again in a couple weeks. I've got Dora Kerney on with me from IDAL, soon to be president of IDAL. You're taking over that role in January. And thank you so much for being with me today.
Yeah, hi. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So listen, we're going to just jump right in with both feet. We got to hang out at the Women in Paint event here just last week. And it was amazing. You put on a demonstration for us. We're going to talk about all that and talk about what IDAL does. As a matter of fact, you know what? For those that don't know, what is IDAL? And then let's talk about how it ties into the painting industry.
Yeah. Ooh, I love talking about IDAL. So IDAL is the International Decorative Artisans League. We are a nonprofit centered on education. So we actually teach other artisans how to do all these wonderful decorative techniques. Anything from stenciling, which is our roots, all the way into, as textured, beautiful plasters. I mean, we run the gamut. We do everything. Throw in some glitter, makes everybody happy. So
all the things. And honestly, I was blown away with some of the things that you were showing me at the Women in Paint event. So let's just break through the old school mentality of what people might think decorative finishes are. And I'll tell you what I've seen just in the short time of getting to see some of what you guys do is, one, it's a real art.
Yes.
And a real skill set.
Yes.
And the business side of me loves it because I know you can make some money doing this kind of thing. So kind of talk about like what you're really excited about, which is kind of revitalizing IDAL and letting people know that, look, there's a whole new generation of decorative finishers that are coming in and making waves. Kind of talk about that and build that out for me.
Yeah, definitely. IDAL, we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. So when that happens, you've got a lot of artisans that have been in the business for a really long time and they start to kind of retire out, right? So What we're trying to do is update and change the face of IDAL. We really want some new artisans to come in. We want them to put the spin on new designs, new ideas, using tools in unconventional ways, using products in unconventional ways. We look forward to that because you'll stumble into being a teacher for us, no doubt. So if we see something that you're just, a major innovator, we're going to have you come teach a class for sure.
That's awesome. There's two thoughts here for you. It kind of reminds me of the PCA in some ways because the PCA is a 140-year-old nonprofit, but there's kind of a new face of the PCA right now. And I feel like IDAL's going through that same thing. And then the other thing that it reminded me when you kind of said, the older crowd's kind of retiring, it's that's how it is with wallpaper. Like when I have tried to find wallpaper installers in the past, I mean, it's almost like a dying breed, right? And, no offense to anyone, but it's a bunch of older white dudes that have been doing this for years and years and years. And now they're getting out of it because it's time for them to do that. And if they are still doing it, they are booked out like months and they can charge whatever they want to charge, which has really set the younger generation up for success because there's a higher price point. And if you have the ability to get to projects faster, like you've already kind of, I think, set yourself up with a lot of value. Are you seeing kind of that same thing in your field with the decorative finishes?
Yeah. And we've actually started reaching out to some of the art schools locally. We're looking for art students. They're coming out, maybe they have a bachelor's in fine arts, and they're like, now what do I do with this, right? So not only can they run their business in graphic design, but they could also turn around and do some of their fine art techniques. And that's sort of my background is fine art. So I stumbled into actually decorative techniques because I helped my mom do her bathroom, honestly. So
Really?
I did the old school faux finish where she wanted a marble wall. So I gave her a marble wall, feather and everything. So
Wow.
yeah, it's super old school. I mean, I was in my 20s, been doing it ever since, right? So I think if I can show people, hey, you can start that early and do simple projects like that. I mean, you don't have to have like a full-on decorative business. I mean, it takes time to get. So just do a couple of cool projects, you know, even if you really want to see if it's for you, like maybe you do a with IDAL and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know if that's really going to work in my business. You know what? Talk to one of the artisans in IDAL because we will bring you in as an apprentice. We'll show you the cool techniques. We'll show you how to do it hands-on OJT and probably get paid for your time too. So, you know, we really look forward to bringing people up and, like you said, setting them up for success.
Yeah, that's amazing. So before we get too far into it, we're going to circle back. I want to talk more about what IDAL offers in the way of education, because that is like huge. I also want to talk about what business owners like myself can do to fold this in and how you can find the clients. But before we get too far in, I want to hear a little bit about your background. Why IDAL? How did you get to the point where you knew you were a good artist and you're able to help your mom create that finish in her bathroom? What is kind of your backstory here, and how did you get to be the next president of IDAL?
And it's been a long, windy road, right? It's never a straight line. So I will say, my background is fine art. So I actually have been an artist since birth, really, since I could hold a crayon. I've been drawing. So, you know, fast forward from all of your, you know, your school learnings, right? In elementary, middle school, high school, all of that. Into my 20s, I did my mom's bathroom. Her friend came over, decided she loved it. And her friend happened to be one of the administrators for a community college. So I ended up teaching classes on Saturdays, showing other people how to do faux finish. So, yep, started with, you know, the good old marble and granite finishes, how to do stencils, which is really cool. And then how to kind of marble over that or make it look like faux granite, a couple different shades, things like that. So, you know, then you fast forward into your 30s and here I am with, I decided to venture into texture because, you know, sometimes paint just doesn't do it for you, you know, which I'll talk about with you guys too. So I feel like texture is where it's at. You know, plaster is really popular. Lime wash is really popular. Even though it's a low profile texture, it's still texture. And, you know, I learned how to do all of that. I actually took a lot of workshops with IDAL. I was asked at convention last year to teach my very first class with IDAL. And it was how to actually use mural paint and thin it out so it looks like watercolor. So I showed how to do a watercolor mural on a full-size wall using some really cool products that a lot of people knew about, had used in other ways. But of course, here I am, unconventional innovator. I try to change how things are used, right? So it turned into a really cool technique. And honestly, this year at our convention, we have another artist that will be teaching watercolor murals in a different way.
So cool.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of, they really liked my class. They liked the way that I talk to people. They like my bubbly personality, of course. And, you know, they asked me if I wanted to be on the leadership track because they realize how organized I am and really wanted me to come in and explore the passions and kind of expand on IDAL. So I started on the fast track. I actually was on the board and I had a board member leave because of health issues. So they appointed me into the vice president seat. So I've been doing that all year this year so far. And then I pop into the president seat next year. So
Very
Lots of
good.
pages, very, very fast.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations
Thanks.
on all of this. This is just so cool. So I want to talk about the education piece because that's huge, especially when I think of, from the business owner's perspective. Teaching and all of that is not always easy to do. And I know that when my company first started doing decorative finishes, and let me say, we're not doing them nearly at the scale of which I have seen you do or have seen what you have showed me, but we're going to get there. So I love the fact that there's this education piece. Build that out for me. Talk about, if I'm a new company or I'm just wanting to get started in decorative finishes, what kind of things do you offer and how would I go about taking a class?
Yeah, so first things first, you would go to IDAL.org. That's our website. You'd want to pick out the membership level that's best for you. We have 5 different levels. So we go all the way from student to professional level. So there's a bunch in the middle. So once you're a member, then you're opened up to all of the workshops, the convention, the online classes. There's a lot of things that we do for our membership. So we probably to touch on, we do workshops within our chapters across the US. Okay. And when those chapters decide to have a workshop, we open it to all of the members and say, hey, guess what? Like, we have probably our most active chapter right now is in St. Louis. So the St. Louis group, they do probably 1 or 2 workshops a year, and we fill that class quickly. So, you would hop into St. Louis. They have the teacher all set up. They allow you to do what we call samples. So all of the samples that you create in that class are finished. So you can actually sell that to your client.
Nice.
So that's the whole idea of the class. Not only are you learning how to use new products, but you're learning a design that somebody came up with that will sell well.
I love that because that's where we start with everything is, someone's always asking us for a sample. So you get to leave with some samples. I love the idea behind that. So you've got these classes, go to idal.org. You can get a membership and then you can take advantage of the workshops. You guys also have your big event coming up. Let's talk about that a bit. And can you still register to attend? Tell me all the things about your event.
You can. So the event is November 4th through the 7th. It's coming up, it's right around the corner. It's in St. Charles, Missouri, which is right outside of St. Louis. So you would fly into the St. Louis airport. The registration is open all the way through the first day of the event. So you can register on November 4th if you want to. Okay. I will say the classes, you can choose your classes. And then you would just register for that class and pay for the class, whichever class you want to take, right? So I will say I'm going to highlight some of the classes that we have here that are really, really good for a new decorative artist to take or someone who's highly skilled at, some of the techniques that we do. So one of the best is Ron Francis is actually teaching a Venetian plaster class. Ron is actually one of the masters in Venetian plaster. He is well known, and you're going to learn all of the nitty gritty for Venetian plaster from that guy. Like he's awesome. Cool. We also have Ellie Ellis. She is going to teach what's called bas relief, which is actually a plaster technique, but it's a 3D plaster effect on the wall. So she will show you how to mix your plasters and then how to build them using stencils and 3D tools. So you're sculpting on the wall. It's so cool.
Very good.
And of course, I got to do a plug for my class. So I'm teaching this year, and it's actually Zentangle, which a lot of people have never heard of. Zentangle.
Yeah, I know what Zentangle is.
Yeah. So I am a certified Zentangle teacher, just kind of something that I do in my art studio. But I am blurring that line into decorative artist techniques, and I am bringing it to show people how to take these little tiny patterns and blow them up on walls.
So awesome. I'm going to admit I've tried to do a Zentangle before. I think I need your class.
Yeah.
It didn't turn out. It didn't turn out. And I consider myself kind of artsy.
I mean, everybody always says, "Oh, I can't draw a straight line." I'm like, "Oh, thank God," because none of these lines are straight.
Dora, let me ask you a question. Do you think anyone can do this, or do
Yes.
you have to have a artsy background?
No, anyone can do this. And I tell you what, the workshops, we really break it down with what we call a recipe, where it's, okay, this is your base paint, right? So we're going to use Sherwin-Williams, Benjamin Moore, Farrow and Ball, any of those. Then we tell you, okay, the first layer is this product in this color. The second layer is this product in this color, and so on. So we really break it down for you. And if you take those workshops, you're going to learn how to use all materials. You're going to learn how to wait for it to dry, what it looks like when it's dry, because it's always different, and how to finish the product. So you're really learning start to finish. So yes, anyone can do this.
That's great, because as you're saying this, I'm thinking I might need to bring some team members, some painters with me, because what we've been asked to do, well, several things over the last couple of years. It first started with lime wash, now it's Venetian glaze, Venetian plaster, all of these different things. Let's talk about how, if someone wants to get into this, where they start. So you and I kind of talked about a great place or a customer to look for are designers. Tell me what you're seeing with designers. I'll tell you what I'm seeing, and then we'll talk about how we can get in front of designers.
Yeah. So interior designers, they're your best friend. I know sometimes they're difficult to deal with because they want very specific things because they have a vision, right? So you have to bring their vision to life. So a lot of times it's kind of difficult to do. I will say getting in with an interior designer would be to work with your paint stores, like your Benjamin Moores, your Sherwin-Williams, Spectrum Paints, whatever's popular in your area, wherever you get your paint. Talk to those store managers, because if they're working with designers that are members of ASID, most of the time they're going to be holding events in those stores. So you can get an invite, weasel your way in there, get yourself an invite, and network till you're blue in the face. Because honestly, designers are looking for paint companies that can come in, they can do a quote, they can do the job, they can do it to their spec, and they can get in, get out, and they want it clean and they want it professional. And I know if you're working with all these folks and you have a growing paint business, you can do all of those things for sure.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I will tell you, in my area, which is Columbus, Ohio, we have a Sherwin-Williams rep who is only dedicated to working with designers. And what that means is they host events, right? They host events, and thankfully we do get invited because they know that we're really into this design aspect. And you're right, that's a great place to network. And my experience is that when designers find someone that does this kind of thing, I mean, if you do a good job, right, and you're reliable and you show up, they hold on to you. And from a business perspective, and even if you think about a sales perspective, it's repeat business, and you don't have to work real hard to get it. It's usually you give them a number and they say yes because they respect the skill, they respect the craft, and they're not necessarily there trying to wheel and deal. They're dealing with people that have money, so they're more interested in quality and outcome over budget. Are you kind of finding the same thing?
Yes, absolutely. And I will tell you too, once they find out that you can include some of these decorative techniques, they're going to be all over you, because it's difficult to find a decorative artisan that actually has the reputation that a paint company has, right? So if you can do, you're a double threat. So just walk in and offer your services for sure.
Totally. So now let's talk about this from two angles. You can do these type of decorative finishes in-house, right? You could train your painters, which is kind of the avenue that I'm trying to go as we grow. But maybe you have a subcontractor model, or maybe you want to, connect with a decorative finisher with the sole purpose of they do the work, but you connect them with the designers and you're managing the project and all that, and you're paying the finisher. Talk about that. I've heard you mention it before. That is also a possibility. So how would you go about doing that? How would you find a decorative finisher in your area?
Yeah, for sure. On our IDAL.org website, we have what we call Find a Pro. If you click on that, you can actually put in your zip code for your area, and it will find a decorative painter that's actually local or a decorative painter that's close enough that will travel for those jobs. So you can reach out to them, tell them about your project, and work out a contract with them to come and complete your work for you. It's really one of those things too, that if you work with that decorative artist, if they really like you, then when they have their jobs, they're going to call you and say, hey, I need you to come paint this house so I can go in and do the decorative technique over it, right? So it's a win-win for everyone.
It can be a good partnership, it sounds like. Other ways that you can connect with designers, I'll just tell you my experience is through NARI, which is a national remodeling organization. A lot of designers are hanging out there, plus even the remodelers and the GCs. I would say remodelers because they're higher end, they're established companies, and they love all the decorative finishes. That's actually how I got started with lime wash years ago. I had a remodeler come to me and say, can you do lime wash? And this was back in the days when I was afraid to say no. I've worked on that since. But I said yes. And then I said, oh my God, what the heck is lime wash? And then we figured it out. We started using Roma Bio. And now in my area, we're still one of the only people that does lime wash. But we even travel throughout the state of Ohio to do lime wash. And it's a premium price point. And that all came from NARI. You mentioned ASID, which is another designer organization. So designers, remodelers, anybody else you can think of that might be a good segue in here into this?
Yeah, you know what? Get to know some of your builders. And this is actually really funny because when the builders do their spec houses, they really want top of the line finishes in their houses, right? And sometimes they have an interior designer on staff. So if you work with that builder, you work with that staff designer, they're going to have you come in and do their spec houses for sure.
So true. And then, another one that I've come across recently are even the commercial general contractors, when they're doing some of these retail store build outs or what have you, restaurants, they've always got these cool finishes. And so that's another connection there. I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know if you're going to know the answer, but we can talk through it.
Ooh, okay.
Any suggestions on price points? This is a big thing, like in the paint industry, we're all trying to figure out how to price things and what our production rates are. If you're just getting started, do you have like a rule of thumb or what? How do we start this off?
Yeah, it's so really what you want to do is kind of in any business, you really want to know what your competition is charging. So that you're not undervaluing your time and your product, right? So that's probably step one. Step two would be really understanding the cost of all the materials, all of your product that you're putting up on the walls, regardless of, what technique you're doing. You don't want to give away that product for free. So you really just need to follow that model, right? It's know what your market value is, what you can charge. So make sure that you're staying in there. You want to make sure that you're at least doubling the cost of your products and your materials, right? And then, of course, you got to charge for your time. So don't leave any stone unturned. And really on those quotes, make sure that you're charging for samples. You're charging for, the consults and things like that too. Yeah,
no, that's a good reminder because I will say that when we first started doing this, we weren't really accounting for the samples. And a lot of times it's not just one sample. It's okay, can you tweak this color? Can you tweak that? And before you know it, you bought a bunch of product that you really didn't plan on buying. But no, if anyone can fold this into their painting business, I would say, especially if you're someone that's already doing quality, if you're a high quality company, you're in these nice homes. I mean, this is just like an added service that you can really charge for. And the profit margins for us are just a lot higher. Anything we're missing on the education piece? Anything else that you want to throw in there, connecting with the designers or the education piece that you think is important?
I think, probably, of course, I'm just going to push membership because, we talk to our members quite a bit. We send out what we call Artisans Quarterly. So we have a quarterly newsletter that goes out, tells you all the cool stuff that's going on, and we spotlight some of our members, right, on things that they're working on, innovations they're making, new products, things like that. So that's probably the best place that you're going to find out about any of the classes, any of the workshops, the convention. You'll be the first to know before anybody else knows.
Okay.
So membership.
Very good. Become a member. And then you're going to be taking over the role of president in January. What are some of your hopes and dreams for IDAL while you're in the seat?
So actually, I have realized that some of our sponsors have some really cool new products that are out there, right? So Roma Bio, you mentioned them. They're a sponsor. They actually they have so many cool new products. I know Golden Paints and Golden Paintworks. They are one of our top sponsors as well. They've been part of IDAL for a really long time. They have a lot of products out there that a lot of people don't know that you can use in interior and exterior application. So my hopes and dreams would be to have really cool workshops with hands-on and our sponsors coming out to show you how to use their stuff and then let you kind of play with those materials, right? So once they show you the basics and say, okay, this is how Golden Paintworks would use this paint, you can go off in your merry way in your little corner and you can do what you want to do with it and see what you come up with. I love, love, love workshops like that. So that's probably the best way. I think it would be good to kind of do different regions as well. I know we kind of stick around sort of the East Coast and we want to go west. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love the hands-on approach. I mean, I love it. We've done that in my business with Roma Bio. They'll come in and they'll do the hands-on, let us try out the products, and man, it's the best way to learn. We're getting ready to wrap up here. I told you our time together would go quickly, and I have a question I always ask everybody. Okay. You ready? Because I don't tell people ahead of time. What do you do to take care of yourself so that you can keep showing up for your clients, your position in IDAL, your creativity? What do you do to take care of yourself so that you can show up and keep leaning into this passion that you're so lucky to have found?
Yeah, you're 24/7, right? You're running your business, you're everything, right? So it's when you decide that you're tired and you want to take some time off, you step away from all the electronics. I'm not kidding. Like, it's turn off your phone. If you have to hard shut it off, shut it off. It's, and of course I have a hot tub, so I go chill in my hot tub often.
Love that.
But I think really the key is just to make sure that you are taking time off of work, because that's where you recharge. That's where all of your good creativity, where all of your ideas come from.
Yeah.
And you can come back strong the next day to work on all of those ideas that you just came up with while you were chilling.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I would say that I have a creative thread that runs through me. Now, you said anyone can do these decorative finishes. I don't know. We'll see after I attend some workshops. But for me, you know what? When my creative juices start flowing? Just when you're saying, when I am checked out and I'm not on a device and I am in, kind of this relaxation space. Yep. And it sounds like that's kind of what happens to you too.
Definitely. It's, and I always have a sketchbook with me all the time. So, and it's not full of all pretty drawings. I mean, a lot of times it's, hey, I need to reach out to this person. I have this idea. So I jot that down, close it up, and then I move on to whatever I'm doing, It helps because then you can refer back to it. It may not be appropriate in today, but, a couple months down the road, just be like, oh yeah, I had that idea. I need to go check that out.
Very good. Yeah. That's great advice. All right. One more time, mention how we can find IDAL. Let's go ahead and give the dates of your event. If you wouldn't mind doing that, that'd be awesome.
Sure. We are idal.org. And our convention this year is November 4th through the 7th in St. Charles, Missouri. And you can go ahead and get registered all the way up to the 4th. So,
very good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be there on behalf of the PCA. And now that I've learned a little bit more, Dora, I might end up bringing some team members and put them in your class. Other than that, we have completed another show, and we will see everybody here next time. Thanks for joining.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.